The ACT Young Australian of the Year for 2012 is Dr. Sam Price.
Thank you very much. Wow. I'd like to firstly thank the Australia Day Council and all of the organisers for giving me such a great honour. I'm truly humbled. I find it a bit strange actually taking a bow and getting presented this award without acknowledging the team, the organisation that have been making such great headway and forging these achievements. I am just one person. I'm part of an amazing, inspirational, innovative team that I'm just so blessed to work with, and I draw a great sense of inspiration and energy from these guys. I'd like to thank specifically the CEO of One Disease at a Time, Samantha Cran, the CEO of Zambrero Group, Stuart Cook. I'd like to thank Katie Radojkovic. Without her selflessness and passion, Zambrero would not be here. And I'd also like to thank Jamie Shaw and my partner Jem for her constant support. But mostly I'd like to thank my mum. And she's come from a completely different world to the one that I'm in right now, and she literally went to a school with no shoes, and the school that she went to had no walls, and when you looked up you could see the light kind of seeping through the coconut leaf thatched roof. And she worked in paddy fields so that the family could get by, and studied under a kerosene lamp at night. And I'm so proud of her that she was able to progress in school through scholarships and ended up with 5 degrees and a PhD in economics in the UK, where I was born, and they settled here in Australia, where I've called myself an Australian citizen proudly for the last 25 years. And in all of that time, I became a medical doctor and was able to start a business, and was fortunate enough to take some money from the business and go back to the places where my mum and dad were raised, and we were able to build schools to pay homage to where I came from, because I was always acutely aware that I owed it all to a free education in a remote part of the developing world. And in all of the time I've been in Australia, I've travelled a lot, and I've always felt safe, and I've always felt free. And in my time doing aid work in the Asia Pac region, I know these are not liberties that are afforded to everybody. I felt so proud, and I felt so lucky, and I felt that if indeed, as citizens, if we could see problems in our community, in our country, then it was up to us to actually spearhead change. To that end, another Australian citizen and a mentor of mine called Professor Frank Bowden inspired me. He told me about how he led the elimination of a disease called donovanosis 10 years ago from Australia, and it stunned me that he did it with such little resources and such little time and so few people. With that, he pointed me towards another professor, a guy by the name of Jonathan Karapetis, who has been awarded by this council for his work in paediatrics and infectious diseases, and the head of the Menzies Research School. And he pointed a disease that was a scourge, but something that we could get on top of. We assembled some heavy hitters in the charity space, people who had run large charity organisations, and some great business heads, and formed an organisation called One Disease at a Time. One Disease at a Time has targeted scabies, which is a mite that gets under your skin and you itch at it, which is no big deal, but the secondary infection causes heart valve failure and kidney failure. And although it's largely not heard of in non-Aboriginal Australia, 7 out of 10 Aboriginal kids get it at least once before they're 1 year old. So we started our work, and we're very proud to say our doctors have commenced the work in East Arnhem Land and are doing now a coordinated elimination in that region with hopes to do a coordinated approach across Australia. And the work that we're doing is quite novel. It's an extension of the research that has been done before, but a new way of looking at Aboriginal affairs, working in communities rather than on, paying reverence to language and the cosmology of communities, and making sure that we're not flying in and flying out, forging strong relationships with the region. I'm very proud of the work that we're doing at One Disease at a Time, but I was a bit disheartened when I was lecturing in front of healthcare students. And what was baffling to me was, before many of these healthcare students had even seen a community, they had already taken the view that Aboriginal affairs or healthcare was too hard. It was a place of pessimism. And it contrasted widely from all of the people that I've met, veterans in the Aboriginal health industry, people like Tom Karma and Kerry Arabina, who were largely positive about everything they had seen happen and were positive and optimistic about the future that lay ahead after spending their entire careers in this space. I knew that if we were going to make a sustained difference, that we had to bring the next generation of healthcare students with us. And now we're proud to say we're not just a voice alone in the wilderness. In fact, we're amazing researchers and Nobel Prize winners. We're working very diligently towards our targets. And to bring the next generation of healthcare students along the ride was so important. We knew that we didn't have the answers for Aboriginal healthcare, but we knew if we worked hard that we could inspire someone that someday will. As I begin this new journey with One Disease at a Time, I think back to what it was like when I began my first journey. This sense of longingness, kind of wistfulness and agonized expectations about what was possible, a sense that was raw pain sometimes mixed with incommunicable happiness about what we could achieve. And I knew that whatever my future, at the dawn of my journey, I believed in this fire. I believed that great things were possible, that huge things could come true. I knew that this fire was not to be betrayed, but instead with hard work and passion, I could give it shape, I could give it purpose and reality. Today, I'd like to thank the Australia Day Council for acknowledging my fire. Thank you.